Right, so I'm going to basically make a long tutorial. I'll try to make this as long as possible to give you as much information as possible. So what I'm planning to do is obviously show you guys how to make websites. HTML is basically the backbone of any website that you come across. And we're just going to get started. There's no point me talking. I need to show you guys how to do stuff. So the first thing I do recommend doing is obviously organizing your stuff. Organizing your files will become a problem once you sort of learn fully how to make websites. Maybe you want to become a website developer. You understand that, especially if you maybe play games or stuff, or you maybe do editing stuff, you know how big of a problem the files are, right? So you need to organize your stuff early, right? So what I do recommend is when I was getting taught in computing science, which was about, oh god, that was about 8 years back, we always created our folders following. So we had one folder for images, we had one folder for CSS, which is cascading style sheet, which basically is responsible for, I'll show you this a bit later because you first need to understand HTML and how to inject a script for CSS to work. And then we had one folder for HTML. Now, what I'm going to do is, I don't like doing this way, so I'm just going to put any HTML files, like the main indexes. I'm going to put HTML for any additional files. But my main files will be in this folder because I like to have my main files as the sort of first point of contact. Maybe because just I'm a development sort of sense, I don't know, right? So what we need to do is I recommend getting Visual Studio Code. Now it's optional, you don't need this. However, believe me, Visual Studio Code will make your life easier, right? With this, especially with the extension I'm going to show you in a second. So I'm just going to launch this and I'm going to open the folder, right? So if you're using Visual Studio Code, just follow what I'm doing. Open the folder, select the folder, and what you should get is three folders. Now click New File and type in index.html or main.html, whatever you want. I'm just going to put index.html, right? And this will be our first website, and this will be very, very important for us to get started with. Now, one important thing I actually need to mention, and it is very, very important, that you cannot just save files. Let me show you here actually. So as you can see, what happens is this file is a HTML file, right? It says HTML. God, how can I show you this? Right, so basically what happens is the file needs to be saved as HTML, right? It cannot be saved as TXT because it won't work. So you need to save as HTML, and you need to learn extensions. I'm not talking about 50-100 extensions which are on Windows. Extensions, the basics, so HTML, CSS, .js, which is JavaScript, .php, which is PHP, which is not basically definitely out of the scope for this video, right? So .html is an extension that you're going to be typing, and it's important that you do save files as HTML, right? So as you can see, if you right click, it says .html, right, which is good, which means you have saved the file. If you come to your basically whatever you're using, if you save it as, for example, main.html, right, it will save as HTML, right? So this is very, very important that you do save it as HTML. Otherwise it's not going to work. Just before we start, I want to show you the extension. The extension I'm going to use is Live Server. It is a very, very good extension. If you come to the right click and install it, obviously install it first, then press go live. And what's going to happen is basically going to start a live server for us, right? So as you can see, I've just started a live server. Now, there's nothing there yet, but as soon as you put some HTML, what I'll allow you to do is launch the text file or the HTML file, and it will allow you to basically display it, right? I'm going to show you this in a second. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do basically open bracket. Now, one important thing about HTML is basically it's one of the best programs I think to get started with programming, because it allows you to understand the syntax, right? So once you open a bracket, we need to close it. Now, fortunately, because we're just specifying a sort of one-liner, we're not really putting between any extra text or any extra elements between this. We can just leave it as it is, right? Okay. So the next we need to do is open HTML, right? Which basically specifies that we're going to write some HTML, and press enter and leave this as sort of the last piece of code. Now I'm going to actually put into a repository, I'm going to put a repository for HTML, so you guys can copy this, and you can just basically, if you don't want to follow along, what you can just do is copy the HTML and change it as you wish, or you can take it and basically do whatever you want with it, right? Okay, so we're going to open another tag, which is body. Body is basically the main contents of the file, right? So we're just going to push it back to HTML. We're going to push this a bit back. And one more thing I want to specify is the title, right? Sorry, the head and the title. So if you open head, right, and close it, and just drop it down, right? Now, what head does, it allows us to put metadata, right? Metadata is important for search engines on the website. So, you know, when you like put the websites and it says like the little text up under the title, it says like, I don't know, protein mail is this, right? That's what metadata is for. It basically allows the search engine to specify and display. It is used for SEO, so for search engine optimization as well. However, for this, we're not really bothered about SEO, we're bothered about HTML, right? So that's what metadata is for. So we're just going to specify the title, right? So if I put title, and the title is, as the sort of name suggests, is the title, right? I'll actually show you. So the title is this. It says 127001 port 5500. Now, basically, this is the title, right? But what we can do is, let me just put this sample HTML tutorial, right? HTML tutorial. I should be able to launch the website from here. 2 seconds. There we go. So I've managed to launch the website. So it says HTML tutorial, right? It has changed. Obviously, the URL hasn't changed because we don't have a first up. We don't have a domain. But it displays the file, right? So it displays the file. Also, we're on a loopback address localhost, right? But you don't need to know this. This is networking. You don't need to know this, right? So index.html is our file, right? Because this is our main file. So now what we can do is we can put some text, right? So I'm going to come here to body. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify H1. H1 stands for heading 1. Heading 1 is basically the biggest heading. The headings go from H1 to H6. H1 being the biggest, H1 being this, H6 being the smallest, right? So if I say H1, for example, HTML tutorial, tutorial YouTube, right? Remember one thing I said, close the tag. Remember, Studio Code does this for you, right? So if you open it, it closes it for you, which is very, very good. Also, if there's any errors, I think it should show you. No, it doesn't show you. It will usually show you if there's any errors. It might show you, right? So as you can see, I've saved the file and it displayed, right? This is why, so this plugin is the best. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to do a hyperlink, right? Now, it is very important, if you don't know something, Google it. Google will show you everything. You need to Google. In IT, we Google everything, right? There's no shame in Googling stuff, so don't be ashamed to Google stuff. It's absolutely a-okay, right? So if you just put open bracket a href equals. Now, as soon as I put equals, it gave us these double quotation marks, right? So some links and some text will be in quotation marks, right? It is important that you don't just remove them. They are important, right? So we're just going to put https google.com. Now, you can put any website you want. I'm just going to put google.com. Close the tag. And as you can see, I already closed it for me. But the thing is, here, we need to put some text, right? Because this will be our redirect. If you don't put this, it's not going to work. So if you, for example, put redirect to Google, right? Save it. And as you can see, it basically allows us to redirect. So basically, we have a functional redirect to any website we want. You can obviously change either you can put an IP address or you can put a link, right? So either you can put DNS address or a link or an IP address, up to you, right? Now, another thing that I love about Visual Studio Code is that it makes everything easier for you. I'll show you, right? So now we're going to inject an image under the redirect. So we're just going to put, open a bracket, we're going to put image, CRC, which stands for source, equals. And now basically what we can do is we need to navigate. Now, either we can put a link, But I don't like linking to websites as I don't like it. I don't know, but I just like to put my own files, right? So I like to save files and put them in folders and basically display it, right? That's how you would also do it in a real example, right? So what we can do is we can put /, and as you can see, if you put /, it allows you to navigate and spy on what folders you have. So if you go to image, and you can select a file, right? So make sure you don't know which file. So I'm going to put small, right? And if you Control S, what's going to happen? It displayed a dog, right? Now we can change the sizes of this very easily, but we're just going to avoid it for now because we don't need to really change that. It looks pretty okay. I might show you how to do it later, right? Now let's say we want to change the background color, right? Because it's white, it's a bit boring and not really looking too good, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to change it to a nice color. So what we're going to do is we're going to change, basically put body style equals background color. As you can see, it actually tells you a little bit more options. So you have background origin, background size, background image, background color. So you can also put images as your background. But we're going to put color. Now, the color we can choose any color. I'm going to choose, let's say aquamarine. It looks pretty nice. Control S. There you go, right? Actually, I don't like this color. Let's change it to something else. We can change it to powder blue. There we go. This is a nice color. It's a bit easier on the eyes as well, right? So now what we have done is basically I've changed the background. We have put h1 tag. We have put a redirect. Also, what we can put is redirect to our next file, which is maybe, let's say, our blog website, right? Which I'll show you how to do this in a second, right? So this is very, very basic, right? I'm actually going to show you how to redirect to your other file, right? So, and also I'll show you later how to do a navigation bar, which is pretty simple as well. Okay, so now what we're going to do is basically we're going to create another file, right? For the purposes of creating a href tag to another file, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Explorer, and I'm actually going to change the name of this file to blog.html, right? So now we're just going to put, basically we're just going to copy all of this code, right? Feel free to copy this code and just put it here. And now we're just going to change, right? There's no point us typing all of this again. It's just a waste of time. I don't like wasting time. If you want, you can copy this and I'm just going to copy it and change everything. So we're just going to put blog, website, actually just going to put blog. We're going to change this to blog, HTML blog, let's say HTML blog. We're going to change the href to, going to change, actually we're just going to leave this for a second, close this, redirect to main page, right, main page. We're going to delete the image. We're going to leave the background color, and we're going to change this to, now what you need to do is we need to basically remove the HTTPS, right? So we need to remove the Google link, but we're just going to put this / to index.html, save it, right? Now, what we need to do is change this on our main website. So if you just change the href to, let's put href, I should just copy this, right? I'm not going to type it out. Let's change this to, I'm going to put to blog HTML, and we're just going to put redirect to blog, right? There we go. So as you can see, I'll just change the H3. Right, so I guess you have already noticed that it is getting a bit complicated, because now if you don't have a real plan or sort of a layout for your website, it's going to get a bit tricky. So it is worth planning your website out. Now this is a very, very small project, so there's really not a lot to plan, right? But once you get a hang of HTML, once you start making big websites, it might get a bit messy, especially as I said with files, right? It might get messy. So it is important to plan stuff out, right? So the best idea to plan your website is just to either take Paint or something, or your favorite program, or GIMP, or whatever you're trying to, whatever you have, right? Even a pen or paper will be fine. And to plan this stuff out, right? So what I'm going to do is you should have usually either a couple main files. For example, index.html should be your main website, right? And then you might have, from the main website, you might have a couple other main websites that redirect to other websites, right? So for example, you might have like index.html as your main point of contact, right? So this will be your people will click on this and this will be your main file. This will be your main website, right? Obviously, you want to also make this website to look the best that it can, because if it looks bad, if it's not really functioning, if it's too slow, people are going to click off, right? So this is also something to mention to optimize your stuff, but optimizing will be possibly not for this, right? Not for today. So also you want to have like as small as you can. The smallest file is the best, because then it takes this less size, and also this means that the website will take much faster to load. Right, so now from index.html, either, as I said, you can have like additional files, for example, so you can have like blog, contact, and about us, right? So this is simple. So I'm just gonna type this out. So you might have to blog, contact us, right? And then you might do about us. I know it doesn't look the prettiest because I'm using Paint, sorry guys. Right, and then from these websites, what you might do is you might put another like couple websites, right? So blog, it might be like how we got started, what do we do daily, our products, right? So stuff like this, right? Contact us, contact form, email, stuff like this, right? So you need to plan your website out. Now I can't tell you how do you want to plan your website. You're the developer. You will learn your own style. You adapt your own style. I'm pretty sure you sort of have an idea in your head. How do you want to plan this out? But it is worth planning this out, because as I said, right, once you get to maybe 15 href tags, it might get messy, right? Especially that a company usually has like, you know, they have like security policy, cookie policy, whatever, right? You have a lot of links. So it is worth planning stuff out, right? Don't rush yourself because you're the developer. Don't rush. If it takes you a week, it takes you a week. If it takes you 2 weeks, it takes you 2 weeks, right? So, right. So, I'm not gonna make a big project, so we're not gonna plan stuff out for now. So I'm gonna sort of take you through another steps of making our website. Now, one cool thing I want to show you is your favicon. So the favicon is basically this little square image here, right? So this is you know how Google has its own image and stuff, right? So when you go on the website, it sort of gives you an identity. So this is called something a favicon. Favicon is, every website has a favicon, well, most of the website hopefully have favicons, because it's a cool feature, not gonna lie, it's a cool feature, right? So what it allows you to do is put your own image. Now, if I'm not wrong, there's a specific file type for favicons. If not, there's a size for favicons. If I'm not wrong, I might be completely wrong. I'm just basically putting this in the dark. I think it's 16 by 16. That's the best favicon size. If not, then I'll put this on the screen if I'm right or wrong, right? I'll do some research and I'll tell you. So the best size for favicons is the 16 by 16, right? Let's just assume this. If not, as I said, I'll put it on the screen. Hopefully I'm right, right? So basically, if you put this in the head, right, I guess you should also organize this, right? So as you can see, it gets a bit messy. So you should also do is organize, start to sort of think about the layer, how you're going to organize. Now, this is not going to come with one program, right, or one website. You need to do this multiple times to sort of learn how you're going to style yourself, or how you're going to style your website, right? It's just like anything, you're not going to be the best driver in the world after 1 hour of driving, right? It might take you 20 hours to be an average driver, right? So don't stress yourself if you can't get this to work, right? Now, obviously, as you can see, I have changed the website and we don't have the favicon. You're gonna have to basically specify the favicon for every single website, right? So I'm gonna show you how to make your own list, right? And this list can basically contain anything. It's a basically bullet pointed list. So if you open up a UL tag, close it, I'll close the tag for you. And what we need to do for every entry, for example, you may want to make like a ingredients page or something, right? So if you do like li, close it, and sorry, you can't do that, right? What needs to be done is for every li, it needs to be like a separate entry, right? So if you do, for example, like let's actually mention all the cakes, right? So what we're gonna do is mention all the cakes. We're gonna do like sponge cake, right? Li. Let's do cheesecake, right? Li. Sponge cake, cheesecake. We go like, was it like the chocolate volcano? I think it's called. I can't remember. volcano, chocolate volcano, and let's specify brownie, right? So if you press Ctrl S, basically what we got is a list, right? So we got sponge cake, cheesecake, chocolate volcano, brownie. I don't even know if chocolate volcano is a cake, doesn't matter. Right? So now what we have is a basically list, right? Now, if you want to make extra space between them, what you can do is you can put, now if you put space, it doesn't really make any difference, right? But if you put BR, which stands for break, it will make a little space. So it's like, this is called white space, right? So if you want to put some space, you just need to put BR between every cake, right? Now, there's a couple options about fonts and basically crossing and making them bold, right? Now, so I'll show you how to make this like bold and stuff, right? So if you want to make sponge cake bold, what you just need to put is open a bracket with B and obviously close it, right? So you need to remember to close everything, close every tag. And as you can see, this became bold, right? But what if you want to cross something out, right? What we can do is we can just put S, obviously close it, right? And as you can see, we have crossed out cheesecake, right? What we can also do is make it italic. Italic like this is the little squiggly lines, right? So if you just put I, I'm actually doing this a bit wrong. It's supposed to be here. Right, as you can notice, it also doesn't really make any difference if you put it before or after. You can usually possibly put it between the li tags. It doesn't really make any difference. It works, right? As long as it works, it's absolutely a-okay, right? Doesn't make any difference, which is good. Now, one thing is, if you want to, for example, change the style, right? Because it looks a bit ugly. There's like no color, no life in it, right? So what we can do is we can change this, right? So if you put ul style equals, and now we can change the font, the color, and whatever you really want, right? So I'm going to do is I'm going to change the following. I'm going to change it to font family, which basically means we're specifying the font, right? So let's choose some random one. I'm going to choose sans serif, right? So as you can see, the font has changed, but it's a bit ugly. Let's change it to something else, actually. Arial, maybe. Let's choose impact. There we go. This is a bit better, right? Now, you can see there's an error, but that's easily fixable. I'll show you how to fix this in a second, right? Now, if you put a semicolon with the little smile, I don't know what this exactly called. But what we can do, basically this is making a break, and what we can do is we can specify another sort of font. So if you specify, for example, color, and you can change the color to, let's change it to crimson, right? So we have, as you can see, we have changed the color, right? Now, all we need to do is to fix this, basically, the file, we just need to close it, right? So once you close it, it's absolutely fine. Remember to save it. Once you save it, everything's fixed. As you can see, there's no more error, right? So as I said, fixing, closing stuff is very, very important. Right, so as you can see, we have basically successfully managed to change the stuff. We have successfully changed the font. Now what we can also do, because it's a bit small, what we can do is we can do font size, and we can put it to, we can put in pixels, right? So let's put this 48px. I done something. There we go. Ctrl S. There we go. As you can see, I made it much bigger, right? So this is very, very simple HTML. Nothing difficult. And you can also change. I just noticed you can change the color by coming here. I don't know how I done this, but I think if you hover over, yeah, if you hover over the color, you can specify it however you wish, and if you press Ctrl S, it will save the color to a different, it will save the changes, right? And it'll display the changes as well. So very, very simple, very nice, very easy, very fun to do. So I want to basically show you how to do comments. Now, comments are very, very important and dangerous, and basically from developers' view, they're very, very helpful, but from hackers' perspective, they can be dangerous, because if you put certain stuff, right, for example, if you put credentials in comments, they can be visible on web pages, right? I'll show you right now what I mean. So if I, for example, put left hyphen tag and I put exclamation mark hyphen hyphen and drop it down, and now if I put, for example, admin credentials are, right, admin, and you save it and you come to the website. Now you can't see this because this is out of HTML. It's not treated as a normal sort of displayable thing, right? It's a comment. It's not supposed to be seen. But the thing is, like, there's no such thing as a hacker cannot do, right? So if you right click view page source, right, I can see this exactly in the web page, right? So you need to be careful what you're putting in the comments, right? You need to be very, very careful. Because if you put something you're not supposed to do, even if you put it on a blank page, right? So if I put blank page, when it comes to pen testing and there's like blank pages, I always check the source code, right? Because source code can tell you much more than the HTML what you see, right? So this is important that you do make sure that you just don't put random stuff here, because this is easily visible to anybody else, right? You need to be careful. Now, one cool feature I want to show you is, I'm just going to copy it from the website so I don't have to type this out. Basically, it's an iframe. Now, what this allows us to do, let me just paste it in. So as you can see, I've pasted in it, but it's not really aligned perfectly, right? So if I basically do a little break right after the thing, right? So as you can see, it has moved out, it has moved down, and what we get, we can put another break to make it a bit more spacious. There we go, right? So what this does is, let me actually show you what this does, right? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna link this file to /blog HTML, and what we get is a little insight on what's happening on the other website, right? So now, as you can see, it's a bit small, it's tiny, right? So what we can do is we can change this. I'm gonna put 500 by 500, right? And if you obviously want to change this, it's very, very simple. Height, right, and width, right? So height is basically the height, I don't know how to explain it, and the width is how long it is, right? Height is how tall it is, and width is how thick it is, right? So if you change your width to 800, we get it a bit longer and bigger, right? And we can change the title to blog iframe, right? And as you can see, we can basically get an insight of what's happening on the other website without us actually going to the other website. Now, this could be useful if you don't want to redirect someone to another website and you just want to display a little bit of, if you want to show them a specific website, or you want to maybe put, I'm pretty sure you can put a contact page in the iframe, right? So if you want to specify like a contact page on every website, what you can do is, instead of making a contact page on every single website, what you can do is just specify this source, and it will basically display on every single website, which will be fully interactive if you program it to do so, right? Something cool. Just decided to show you guys as obviously this is very nice. Now remember about the breaks, because if I remove the breaks, it will be a bit ugly, right? It's basically too close to the image, right? So to basically sort this out, what we can do is put some little breaks, which is just white space, and makes it a bit look nicer, right? Right, so that'll be it for this tutorial. I decided to make this tutorial as easy as possible. I'll be leaving this basically this project on my GitHub. So if you want to learn some HTML, if you want to take this, feel free to do so. You can take this and you can change this however you wish. Now, it doesn't look too pretty, but obviously we're not trying to make the website pretty. We're trying to learn HTML. Your websites will possibly, the first couple websites you make, won't be the prettiest, but obviously practice is king. So remember to practice, do as much as you can. If you want to become a website developer, you'll be doing this for your job, right? So you need to be ready to make a lot of projects. Don't forget to check my other videos if you're interested in ethical hacking. I've got playlists for you waiting there. If you want to learn some cybersecurity, also my channel is focused on cybersecurity, information technology, and much more. Don't forget to check out my Twitter, which will be in the description below. Thank you for watching, and peace.